Well, my friends, I was hoping to take the weekend off, if I'm being honest, from making any content and giving you a breather because I inundated you like crazy the last half of the week. And then myself and Reg, we were interviewing an amazing individual, which we'll be releasing that interview sometime in the coming week. And after we got done with that interview, we opened our phones to Ruby Dhalla of the Liberal Party of Canada being kicked out of the Liberal leadership race because of 10 violations they cite of her breaking the rules, essentially, for the Liberal leadership race. And we opened up our phones and we read this, and yes, surprised, but second, not surprised at all. We knew this was coming, but again, the egregious nature of it is quite frankly disgusting. And I already went off on a tirade earlier this week on it. This is going to be more of just really speaking the facts of what just happened, and you just allow it to sink in of what took place and what is happening right now in our country, and how you cannot trust this Liberal Party to have any type of control in our government because they do not care about the democratic process. They do not care about making sure the people are heard. They only care about their agendas and pushing those things through. They'll feign patriotism. They'll feign they love Canada. They'll feign they love people, even though they've been out of the country for 10 years, have no interest in Canada, and all of a sudden buy a house here, wear the friggin' jersey and say, I'm Canadian, and expect all of us to fall for it. That's how this operates. That's how they operate. That's how the system goes here. So let's read the article. Ruby Dhalla kicked out of the Liberal leadership race after extremely serious violations. Okay. The Liberal Party of Canada committee voted unanimously on Friday to disqualify former MP Ruby Dhalla from the race to be the next leader. Azam Ismail, the party's national director, said in a statement that the Liberal leadership vote committee determined she made 10 violations, some involving the party's leadership and expense rules. The decision followed an extensive process and review, including interviews, questionnaires, and an opportunity for Dr. Dhalla to directly address the committee, he said. The leadership vote committee determined that the violations were extremely serious. The statement goes on to say that the party is concerned Dhalla may have violated the Canada Elections Act as well as certain other election finance matters, non-disclosure of material, facts, and inaccurate financial reporting. This is what they're alleging. And are we surprised? Because we're going to show the first 2.5 minutes of her interview with CBC. And for me, one of the most impacting pieces that CBC has done in a certain amount of time, because we are witnessing the absolute erosion of democracy in this country, 100%. Watch what takes place here.
Thank you for joining us. Have you received official word yet from the Liberal Party on your disqualification from this race?
I haven't as of yet. It's quite interesting that I turned on CBC News and read your headline that I was being disqualified from the race. I checked my email, my campaign team has, and as of this moment, we have not received any indication from the Liberal Party as to that type of decision, which to me is very alarming and very shocking that there are these types of leaks, from sources that are occurring.
We have just received a statement from the Liberal Party. Ms. Dhalla, I swear this just came into my email. It's a statement by Azam Ismail, who is the Liberal Party of Canada National Director, on Ruby Dhalla's candidacy for leader of the Liberal Party. Today, the Liberal Leadership Vote Committee unanimously made the decision to disqualify Ruby Dhalla. The decision followed an extensive process and review, including interviews, questionnaires, and an opportunity for Dr. Dhalla to directly address the committees. After a thorough investigation, the Leadership Vote Committee and the Leadership Expense Committee, sitting jointly, unanimously determined that Dr. Dhalla was in breach of 10 violations of the National Liberal Leadership Rules, Leadership Vote Rules, and the Leadership Expense Rules. The violations include concerns about alleged violations of the Canada Elections Act, certain other election finance matters, non-disclosure of material facts, and inaccurate financial reporting. The Leadership Vote Committee determined that the violations were extremely serious and accepted the recommendation of the Chief Electoral Officer and disqualified Dr. Dhalla under Section 8 of the National Leadership Rules. I'm assuming this is the first you are hearing this statement. What do you say that it was unanimous that there were 10 violations of those various rules?
Well, I think it speaks to the state of the Liberal Party of Canada that a candidate who is running to become leader of the party, who is running to become prime minister in our country, is finding out that she has been disqualified on air from an email that the media outlet that she is interviewing with has received. So it is very alarming and very shocking. It is certainly not surprising, because I think the Liberal Party of Canada was seeing exactly what our internal polls are telling us, that my campaign and my team, we were neck to neck with a front runner in the race. They did not want me to go on to that debate stage in Montreal. They certainly did not want me on that ballot. And the Liberal Party of Canada wanted to complete the coronation of Mark Carney. All of the allegations that you have mentioned have been, that you have spoken about. They are completely false. They are fabricated. And I will not allow the Liberal Party of Canada, or anyone for that matter, to smear my name or to smear the name of thousands of volunteers in our campaign.
Hear, hear. And that is what we're seeing here. They go on in this interview. She explains what happened. She appeared in front of committee yesterday, Friday, to explain herself. Then later on in the day, she gets word, not through the emails from the party, not from an individual who she spoke to, not the person who is coordinating the committee hearing. No, she heard it from CBC. She heard it on CBC, then she went on CBC to have this interview, and then she didn't get the reasoning until CBC got the press release and then shared it with her on air for all of us to watch. And they cite, there's these 10 violations and there are these issues and la 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 la. Well, here's the thing, folks. It doesn't pass the sniff test. And I shared that internal poll 2 days ago that her team put out. And I was like, take it with a grain of salt for what it is. But she was just a little bit too close. Because what that tells me is, yes, their internal polls were similar to what they're seeing at the Liberal Party headquarters. I have a feeling. And that made them very nervous. And they started looking for things that they could cite as issues. They said 10 violations. Again, they cite it this way, so it makes it sound like so many things happened. But no, it was 10 violations. What it was 10 contributions that they had questions about. That is it. That is the issue. It's not like there's 20 different rules and then she violated 10 of those 20 different rules. No, it's just there was 10 deposits and donations made to her campaign that they had questions about. They heard her out. She explained and showed the financials. And then they unanimously decided that they're going to kick her out. And the other part of this that was really interesting, and she mentions in this interview as well, is she didn't know who was on this committee. She didn't know who was involved. Didn't know who was making the decision. She only got a handful of names when she went on the call herself. And that's when she found out who was involved. And from her perspective, and she mentions in this interview, that it was all liberal insiders. And this is exactly the playbook we saw the Democrats pull in the United States. First off, when Joe Biden took it in 2020, they moved all the candidates out of the way so that he could win. And they're doing the same thing here in the Liberal Party with Carney. Get everyone who's trouble out of the way. Saw it with Chandra, we're seeing it with her. And there's people who are going to defend this. Some people who claim to be conservative are going to defend this, saying, well, the Liberal Party can do whatever they want. And to that I say, you're correct. They can do whatever they want. But it's more so a tell and more so a summation of what this Liberal Party is really all about. They don't care about what their base thinks. They don't care what their voters think. They only care what the insider liberals think. And he claims to be an outsider, yet somehow he's running the ship now. And they've run everyone who is an actual outsider out of the party during this Liberal leadership race. Ruby Dhalla's campaign came out with this statement, and I'll read the first 2 paragraphs. They said, "Today is a sad and shameful day for democracy and free speech. The Liberal Party and internal committee, operating in secrecy until now, have disqualified and removed the only woman of color and the most significant challenger to Mark Carney from the leadership race. The Liberal Party has made false, fake, and fictitious allegations to complete Mark Carney's coronation. The allegations and fabricated claims disqualify Ruby, the only candidate running neck and neck with him in the polls. It is evident that the Liberal Party did not want Ruby, the only candidate who could challenge Carney in the debates, win the race, and become the leader of Canada's next prime minister. Nor did they want her to remain on the ballot to give the Liberals a choice to choose change. The Liberal Party has lost its moral compass. It was only after the final deposit was made, in which $350,000 was collected from hundreds of hardworking Canadians supporting the campaign, that the party requested a meeting and followed up with a list of 27 questions and a 6-page letter filled with false and unfounded accusations and alleged breaches. The timing is interesting. The explanation they'll give you is, well, it's like, yeah, we saw the money come in and then we started going through who the donations came from. Then that's how we came up with our result. But it is interesting that you waited for the deposits to come in and you get to hold those deposits now. It is interesting that this all happened on a Friday. The place that in the media is the day that news goes to die. And there's a specific time of day that news is typically, they suggest news shouldn't go out at. They say don't put out big news items between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. typically on weekdays. And don't do anything on the weekends. And this broke all those rules. Came out at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern time on a Friday. Came out on the day that news goes to die. And came out during the time period that you shouldn't put out big news items if you want them to be heard. This shows all the clear indications that they want this swept under the rug, and they don't want to be exposed for the corrupt party they are including Mark Carney. This man and how his campaign has been conducted is disgusting. It's undemocratic. It's un-Canadian. And I, for one, want to put this party out of its misery. It is underhanded. It's greasy. And again, the people who defend it saying, oh, they can do whatever they want. Yeah, you're right. They can do whatever they want. But they better come up with a very dang good reason for why, not come with some bogus foreign interference issue. They claim there was a specific person involved in her campaign that was not Canadian helping out the campaign, which they said is false. There was no one like that in their campaign. And if they want to be this deliberate and they want to be this specific with the funds that have been going into this campaign, I would love to see the names of the $2 million that Mark Carney has raised. I would also love for him to explain all his financial dealings, specifically with Brookfield. How is it that as soon as policy is passed for heat pump rebates, that all of a sudden he had acquired just before that a heat pump company? This man is deceitful, duplicitous, and should not be trusted and cannot be given the keys to the PM seat. Cannot. But it shows you how much they do not care about us. They do not care about you. And I will say this, game on. If this is the fight you want to pick, liberals, this is what you want to do, I'm not going away. You have ruined my country. You have ruined what our systems are about. You've ruined our institutions. You're turning this country into a borderline dictatorship. That's what you desire. You put up a mask of democracy, but you have no interest in actually hearing what the people have to say. You hide from debates. You hide from the media. You hide from anyone that can actually question you on real things. And then when you underestimate someone who could ask you questions and they catch you, you belittle them. You try to make yourself bigger than they are. You say, oh, you've never really went out and bought steel, have you, Todd? That's what you do. And I have no interest in a man like that running my country. A man who doesn't actually believe in our values, doesn't believe in what it means to be Canadian. Someone who hasn't lived in this country for the past 10 years, but claims to love it so much, yet holds 3 different passports. I have no interest. I'll vote for the guy who has been here fighting the good fight. That's who I'll be voting for. So Liberal Party, you've shown your true colors. We've seen it for a long, long time, but this was the nail in the coffin for me. And it should be for many other people, that you cannot be trusted, and we will make sure that you are sent a strong message whenever you call that election, or if we get to October and that election does come. Game on, folks. It's time to really take this seriously and send a strong message to this party. When the time comes, get out and vote. And let's send this sorry Liberal Party packing. That's it for me. Have yourself a good one. I'm out.